Hello and welcome to Exceptional Undergrads, a podcast where we identify young adults that have achieved exceptional levels of success at a young age. Our job is to explore their tools, actions, and habits to provide listeners with practical advice to use on their journey to becoming successful. We strive to provide our listeners with inspiration that can be applied in their own lives, as we believe it's within the capabilities of any young adult to achieve exceptional success at a young age. Now let's jump in and learn some practical advice from the dorm room next door. Today I welcome Austin Vohra to the show. Austin is a great friend of mine. He's a very dedicated individual and is genuinely one of the most positive people I know. Whether intentionally or not, this past year he helped me restructure my self-talk, creating a much more positive outlook for my life. We both love a good competition and have used competition between us in the gym and on the golf course to push each other past our perceived limits. I really value my friendship with Austin, and although he graduated from High Point University this past spring, I feel Austin is a perfect candidate for the show. In this episode, we covered a lot of insightful topics, but expect to learn about Austin's thoughts on how he became a much more positive person, how he balances his new job with fun activities, how he stays focused on the tasks at hand, and how he has used progressive overload in the gym and in life to make substantial progress, as well as much more. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, Austin Vohra.
I'm from Charlotte and I majored in business administration. I just moved to Orlando actually for a job a few months ago in July. I love the post grad life, I'll be honest with you. I love living by myself and having no responsibilities so far.
I remember I met you last year. Do you want to tell everybody about maybe how we met, and maybe you can
I,
give us
I think
just
we
a little
met
bit
in the
about that?
gym, I'll be honest. And then somehow golf came up and we're both huge golf guys. Just went from there. We just played a few rounds together. Talked about GG. I see you have the quarter zip on. And
Yes, sir.
yeah,
I remember meeting Austin my sophomore year of college, so last year. He was a senior at the time, and it was one of those things where, I was just showing up, going to the gym all the time. And I remember this was whenever I would lift at night, which was a while ago for me. So I was lifting at night, and I always see Austin in there. I mean, he was grinding, doing a great job lifting all the time. And I just remember one time, I think I might have been wearing a good shirt or something like that. And he just noticed it and we started talking and we were having a great time. Then we got on, of course, golfing and whatnot. And that was a fantastic time. We were able to just click immediately with that. I think that really brings me into something that I really noticed about Austin from the get-go, which was how positive he is all the time. It was just one of those things where myself, that's something that I've had to work on in the past. And I just wanted to hear from you, Austin, about have you always been a positive person, or has that been something that you really had to work on?
I think up until high school, actually through high school, I wasn't that positive of a person. But when I went into college and I was on my own for the first time, it made me realize, oh, wow, I didn't know what I had before. It just puts things into perspective. It could be a lot worse with everything going on in the world right now. Definitely keep things in perspective.
What strategies or methods did you use to be able to become a more positive person? Because I know for myself, I've tried reading books and trying to rework my self-talk as well, but I would definitely want to hear what you have to say.
Honestly, I think going to the gym was the biggest thing, not only for the physical, the mental as well. I think the biggest thing you can do for yourself is build yourself physically and mentally at the same time. I remember freshman year, I was 115, and by the time I graduated, I was like 145. It was just a crazy transition, and it just made me realize that if you do something consistently and you work hard at it, you can do it.
I've definitely seen that in myself as well, obviously going to the gym. I think even whenever you think about it, really golf is one of those super frustrating sports as well, at least in my opinion. And I think the big thing that really stood out with me whenever I was golfing with you a bunch is I'd hit a bad shot and my normal reaction is to immediately get super annoyed because I'm so used to just wanting to hit the ball super well all the time. And I noticed with you, there is a phrase that you say a lot of the times, which is something along the lines of whatever event that just happened, you always throw in like, but that's okay at the end. And I started to take that as like something for me, which I just noticed from just hanging out with you a bunch, that it just made me become a more positive person. Have you ever noticed that about yourself where you're
Yeah.
adding like that's okay at the end of stuff?
Yeah,
Is that something you're doing on purpose?
at the end of the day, I think you told me this actually. A lot of things in life don't matter. There's only a few things to me that really matter in life that is worth getting mad about. Golf is it's just a game. We're just out there for fun. You know what I'm saying? You just, like I said before, put things into perspective and just have fun. That's it. Don't take life too seriously.
For sure. I think that that goes to like one of the things I've been thinking about lately, which is just the phrase "who cares." I think even whenever you think about this podcast that I'm doing right now with you, I mean, this is the first one that I've ever done before. I've never done any sort of podcast, but I've been working on all of this for so long that I really got to a point where I was like, who cares? This is something that I really want to do. This is something that I'm really passionate about and I get to speak with other people on. And it's something that, why not? It's all a perspective thing at the end of the day.
Exactly.
Could you speak a little bit more on perspective in your life? Because I noticed you were just saying about how there's only certain things that you really find valuable and the rest of it you don't really worry about too much. What do you think would be maybe a couple of those things that you find super valuable and how does that
Yeah.
impact your perspective?
Family is definitely number one. I don't think family is blood per se. I think family is the people who you care most about and who you love and who's been there for you your whole life. So friends, I say I don't have friends, I have family. Like Vin Diesel says, I'm the type of guy who has maybe 3 or 4 close friends, and I know a good amount of people, but I have 3 or 4 good friends that have been there since day one. That's definitely number one, and then focusing on myself is definitely number two because I want to build a name for myself. I want to keep the Vor name known. I don't want to just be another agent in the matrix, as they would say. I want to escape the matrix. But no, I want to make my last name known, shock the world. Those are the two most important things to me.
For the first one, I think a big thing that you were saying around family, it doesn't have to necessarily be blood. I think that really has to do with the way that you just make connections with people. I noticed as well, once I met you, there were so many people that just be like, "Oh, like I know Austin." Even people in my grade, who when I was a sophomore at the time and you were a senior, I just hear all the time, "Oh, I know Austin," and I'd walk into the gym, everybody dabbing you up, knowing Austin. And I find that funny. Like the way that you're just talking about stuff is, yeah, I actually only have a few close friends, and then I just know a whole bunch of people. How do you really maintain those close friendships now that you're away from a bunch of people off on your own in Orlando?
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, it's just doing things like this, keeping in contact, texting. Here's my thing. I think if you really have a close friend, you don't have to talk every day, or even every week. But it's that y'all are good. It's just like our relationship. We don't talk every week. We talk every few weeks, and we're close. Going back to that thing you said about me in the gym and knowing everybody, it's funny because in high school I was the most introverted, quiet person. I have one friend from high school who I still talk to, and that's it. Going to college, I think, really forced me to just be more out there. And I think once I find things in common that I have with people, it's so much easier. That's definitely one of the biggest pros of the gym.
Whenever you first got to college, did you start out not super extroverted?
Yeah,
And how'd you overcome that, if so?
yeah, no. I don't think I've ever been to one frat party. I don't drink. I only drink, on special occasions. My Friday, Saturday nights, like you've seen, have been at the gym or shooting hoops with my buddies or watching a movie in my room. I think my definition of fun is different than others. I think I'd rather stay in than do the stereotypical go to the party, drink, get drunk, whatever. It's just not my thing.
I think this is probably why we ended up becoming like a lot closer friends. The first time that I went to a frat house was a couple of weeks back with one of my friends, and it was during the day because he had to go and pick up a shirt there. I'm like not the type of person who's really going out drinking or doing like anything whatnot, especially with starting this. I and like writing all the time ever since I basically got
really into like writing and like working on all the stuff that I'm doing now, between writing books, potentially hosting this podcast and creating other products and just being able to speak with other people and improve myself daily. I have been waking up 5:30 in the morning and going to sleep a little bit earlier than most people do. And I honestly feel like I'm happier now than at like any other point in my life, which I find pretty crazy to think about, that all of the people, not to say like other people aren't having fun, but I feel like, as you might say, I find more productive things more fun rather than just going out and getting super drunk and talking to just random people all the time. I feel like you can still have that in your life, but you want to have enough. You want to be able to say at the end of the day, like, you did something
Yeah.
that was productive.
Yeah.
Would you speak on that as well?
Yeah, no, I have nothing against drinking, partying, you know. That's what you're supposed to do when you're young. Just as long as you have a balance, then you're good.
How would you say that you've started to maintain a balance of responsibilities as more of an adult per se, now that you're off on your own out of college, in comparison to doing things that are more fun for you? How do you balance that with obviously working?
I I keep work at work and I keep fun outside. Like not outside of work, but you know, I when I work hard, and when I play harder. I focus on one thing at a time. When I'm working, I'm only working. You know, when I'm having fun, I'm not working. I'm only having fun. I think if you just do one thing at a time, then the balance will be fine.
How are you able to stay focused on one thing at a time? Is there any habits or like actions that you do to make sure that you're dialed in all the time?
Yes, I am dialed in. I have a studio here. What I do in my mind is my desk here. In this desk, I only sit when I work. You know, I don't sit here for fun. And when I go on the couch, I only go relax. You know, I don't work on the couch. When I work, I go to this desk here, and then when I chill, I go to the couch there. And same with the bed. I don't use my phone in my bed because once you start doing that, you won't be able to go to sleep. You'll connect phone with bed, and I don't think will go well. Putting the phone away is also a big thing for me because it's just a big distraction. I don't think any positive to it while you work. Like you said, waking up at 5 a.m. like you do, that's the best thing because you know no one's hitting up your phone at 5 a.m. I think just keeping things separated is just the best thing.
An
Yeah.
association, would you say, with certain
Yeah.
parts? I've noticed that that has helped me as well, where I will try my best not to be in my bed during the day, or I'll sit down at like my desk in my room to try and work. A lot of times, whenever I'm doing work like this, I'm going over off to a specific building that basically is deemed like my workspace,
Yeah.
essentially. And since I'm up earlier, anyways, I'm beating everybody to the place, so I end up getting like the same room all the time.
Yeah.
That's probably why I've been able to associate certain places with just working, and I think that really helps.
Cottrell was my workspace and Slane was my fun space. I mean, I also like studying in the quiet. I think it's different for everyone, but I would see people studying on their computers in Slane, and I just think it's so much tougher to do that in there because there's just so much going on. But whatever works for you is good for you.
I think that's the big thing that I'm trying to show with this podcast as well, is everybody does certain things, small things, different than other people, and you can have a wildly different amount of success by just trying to implement small things during the day that just help you take like small steps towards becoming more successful.
I agree.
I mean, we've been talking about positivity here for a little while. I just wanted to hear how you handle setbacks or failure by like maintaining a positive outlook.
That's a good question. I think people have different definitions of failure. My definition is failure is not trying. If you want to go to the gym and you're not seeing results, I don't think that's failure. I think failure is if you don't learn something from the process. I think if you don't try, then that's failure. But if you do something about it then, and still learn something, that's not failure to me. I'll give you an example. When I was applying to my internships in my junior year, I applied to about like 100 and I got one. It was the 100th one. It's just that mindset of just keep going and you only need one at the end of the day is what I thought to myself. And as soon as I got that, the previous 99 helped me learn what to say, how to say it, what questions to ask at the end of the interview. I think that's the reason that I got that 100th one. That led me to my job that I have now.
That's fantastic. Congrats, bro.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I think that's something that like I'll think about sometimes too, which is My favorite musician, his name's Mike. When I'm not wearing good stuff, I'm usually wearing something that has to do with Mike. And something that he always said, just the phrase like keep going. I actually have it on my water bottle right here that I was having here. It's like a stop sign. It says don't stop, keep going. If you can see part of that. And just going through a whole bunch of stuff in my life and having a bunch of failures, I think of failure more as an opportunity for growth nowadays. And as long as you just learn something and you just keep moving forward, then there isn't really such thing as failure. It's just always just going to be solely feedback. And as long as you're gaining feedback, then you're learning. And if you're learning, then you're growing.
I agree.
And that's the whole point, is you are trying to grow and become a better person daily.
Yeah. And
at least in my opinion.
I'll be honest, being successful is not hard. People make it seem so much harder than it is because they've seen these people, oh wow, you're like a billionaire and you have all this stuff. If you just start something and you stay at it, it's just the same with the gym. You know, I've seen you go from a twig to a stump, and it's like you kept going, and so it's just consistency is the key, I think.
Consistency is the key. I like that. It's definitely big there. I think that's a huge thing. Being consistent with like whatever you're doing, whether that be like you said, like in the gym, recording a podcast, or
Yeah.
just I think the big thing that I've been thinking about lately is consistency in your beliefs as well. To not be someone who just wavers and kneels down to whatever other people are saying, because I think that that's almost a killer of success at this point, is just hopping ship from a whole bunch of different things. If you can stay consistent and stay consistent in your values and in your actions daily, eventually, if given enough time, you're gonna end up becoming more successful.
I agree.
I also liked your point as well, that it's so easy to be successful nowadays. I find that hilarious. I mean, if you really think about it, it's pretty true, in the sense that look at most college students, your average college student who doesn't really study that much. They don't show up to class. They're not eating healthy. They're not like working out or exercising much at all. They're not trying to learn or anything. And it really just shows you that if you just put in like even the minimal effort on a weekend of reading a book for like a little while, or taking a course like online, or just learning something, you can get like so far ahead of other people that it's pretty crazy, honestly.
Yeah.
But
I think if you want to be successful, look what everyone else is doing and don't do it. It's pretty simple. The principles are pretty simple. You know, just like you do, you don't really party too much. You spend your weekend in Cottrell just like I did. It'll take time, but they'll see.
it's huge. It's putting in a whole bunch of effort, which seems like it's not going to be something. But the way that I've seen stuff happen is that success is an exponential return, essentially. The graph where it's like basically straight for like forever. And then right whenever usually everyone's giving up, like right here, they just shoot up randomly. The returns are very minuscule. And that's something that I've noticed with a lot of things. Even in the gym, we use the gym all the time. I feel like the gym is a perfect way to just show success in general, which is every day that you go to the gym, you're pushing weights the entire time. And what do you see at the end of the workout? You see nothing. Maybe a little bit of a pump, like you look a little bit bigger for a little while, and then you go back down to nothing. But if you wait a couple of years, whenever you're lifting, you just keep staying consistent, you keep working, then eventually you're a lot bigger. And that's why so many people end up quitting nowadays, because they can't wait a year. That's something that Alex Hermosi says, that I've been really thinking about now, which is it's the instant gratification. Yes, sir. Which is the quote from Alex Hermosi that comes to my mind is, most people can't be successful because they can't wait a year.
Yeah.
They just don't have the patience to wait and put in the work day in and day out. When if you just do that, and you do one thing for a while, and you just do it super consistently, eventually, unless you're doing the completely wrong thing, I mean, it should work out for you in one way or another, or you'll learn something. I know you were telling me about how you were going to the gym. I'm hoping that you're still going to the gym because, I mean, you were already looking huge back then in college. You got to be looking huge now at this point. But one of the one of the things that I think about a lot whenever I'm lifting is progressive overload. Would you mind like telling everybody about what progressive overload is and maybe how you've used that
Sure.
in the gym?
Basically, progressive overload is keeping track of your weight that you're using for your reps and keeping it between the 6 and 8 range. And once you start getting 8 pretty easily, you move up whatever, 5 pounds, 10 pounds, whatever it is. And a big thing for me is keeping it on the notes, which actually I'll show you. This is what I did today with my legs. I don't know if you could see that. My 5 exercises and then my 5 weights. And then I love doing drop sets, I'll be honest with you. It just makes it burn even more. And that's what I love. I think keeping notes of it is the most important thing. Otherwise you won't know where to start, where to keep going.
It's just taking a certain weight and repping it out for a good bit. And then once you feel like you're getting it a little bit easier,
Yeah.
then you would move up and you try and challenge yourself. So it's just over time, progressively overloading,
Yeah,
but like progressively increasing the weight so that it's tougher for you.
that's it.
Can you discuss how progressive overload would be a little bit more beneficial than another way of training, like just using the same amount of weight for each exercise the entire time? Is this something that you think that you do like a weekly thing, a daily thing, where the next session that you do go in the gym,
I think
you'd move it up? How do you work with that?
really progressive overload, it really depends on what your goals are. It depends on the person, and reps also depend on what you're trying to do because let's say for example, if you're trying to cut, you'd rather do more reps, and if you're trying to bulk, you're trying to do less. But you're going for heavier. So it really depends. Also, the exercise also depends. Squats is much different than bicep curls. So it just depends on your progress, and there's no timetable, I would say. It just depends on how often you go and what you're trying to achieve. As long as you're doing it, then you should be good.
Do you have a lot of variability in your trainings? Do you end up training the same exercises a lot of times, or do you go to the gym and sort of switch it up? I've seen different things from different people. I want to hear your opinion on that.
I'm very consistent with what exercises I do. So once you find what you like, just stick to it. Whatever gives you the best pump and best squeeze for the exercise, I'd say stick to it for a little bit. And then if you see growth or you don't see growth, then you can change.
Basically, what you'd say is more of what feels a little bit better in the short term, but then you can see progress over the long term.
Yeah, I think whatever exercise makes, like I said, the pump feel good and works your muscle the best, just stick to that. I don't know. I don't think you need to be doing different exercises every workout because I think staying consistent is the best thing.
How many exercises are you usually doing during your workouts at this
I
point?
would say it depends on what I'm doing, but 3 to 4. Say 3 to 4.
3 to 4 exercises total?
Yeah, 3 to 4 per body part.
Give me an example of one of your days. Like,
Sure, I'll
what would
give
be
you an
like a chest
example of
day
my
for you?
days. I'll give you an example of today.
Okay, yeah, go for
Okay,
it.
so today I did legs. I don't like squatting, so I don't squat because my back hurts. I started off with leg press. That was 4 reps with drop sets as well. Then I went to RDLs. Then I went to the inner thigh machine. I don't know what that one's called, but people call it the sus machine, but you know what I'm talking about. And then I did the laying down hamstring extension. Is that what it is?
The hamstring
Yeah,
curls.
yeah, hamstring curls. And then I did leg extensions, and then I did calves.
And you said you didn't squat because your back is hurting. You want to explain a little bit about
Well,
that?
it hurts when I squat. I don't think it's as efficient as leg press or leg extension, honestly. I think efficiency is the name of the game. Whatever you do, whatever works best for you, do it.
I feel like as of lately, for me personally, for leg day, I started adding in squats again, which my knees, for whatever reason, always would hurt me whenever I've squatted. And I've decided I kind of want to get my squat up. I feel like I should probably start squatting at least a little bit. Maybe that's like peer pressure from some other people or whatnot. My depth was never super good, but I just started getting back into it, and now I'm starting to actually rep out a decent bit of weight on squat, which is cool. I noticed too, the only way for me to really get this to start working was to just lower all of the weight massively,
Yeah,
essentially, to start. Where even whenever I'm working on it nowadays, I'm working on like my form rather than much of anything else.
I agree.
And I think that if I get that correct, I'd go up.
I think squats are great, but it's kind of like deadlifts to me. I just don't think it's as efficient as I'd like it to be. I like isolating muscles when I do legs. I think squat works both hamstring and quads. I like isolating. That's just my personal preference.
I've noticed too, I've tried to part of this is like an ego sense, honestly. But I started doing more of these heavier compound lifts as of lately. I got my bench up like a little while ago to 205. I want to obviously try and hit 225. So I've been training more with bench press and trying to get that up. And I decided the other day that I wanted to start deadlifting again. I hit 365 the other day. It's interesting for me just because of the fact that I'm so used to doing what you said as well, isolating the different things, like having just like one at a time, essentially. I'm so used to doing that for like legs and arms and chest and just everything in general. It's a different perspective for me to do more of a compound movement as well. But I thought that's interesting.
Yeah.
I know you were talking about beforehand about how, like, whenever you first got to college, you were like 115 pounds and you bulked up to 145 throughout your time there. How important has your diet been whenever you started to do that?
I think diet is really important, but at the same time, I think especially for us young people, we need to take advantage of our age. And let's say, for me especially, I was bulking. As long as I got my calories and my macros in, I didn't really worry about what I was eating, which is probably not good to say, but I still eat my grilled chicken or whatever, but it's not like I would cut out Chick-fil-A or anything. I still eat Chick-fil-A. I would eat Chick-fil-A a lot, but as long as you're hitting your calories and your macros, then you should be fine. It's my take on it.
I cut out a lot of sweets in my diet a while ago. Were you still eating a whole bunch of sugary type sweets and stuff like that, or would you say you were like a little more strict on that?
No, I wasn't strict on it. I wasn't strict. I should have been probably, but I wasn't. I think cutting out things for me is just it's a personal preference for not to do it. But if it works for you, then it works for you.
Did you have any specific things that you do to try and get yourself to eat more food and bulk up more, or did you think that that kind of came a little more naturally as you just got older?
I think it came naturally. I think eating breakfast is the biggest thing for me. I didn't eat breakfast in high school, but in college I did because I wanted to gain weight, so I did. Other than that, that's about it. I didn't really make too many changes. I just ate a little bit more. That's it.
Have you had any achievements that you could credit progressively overloading in the gym for, just in general? Is there anything big? Oh, I was able to hit this amount of weight, and
Oh,
it's because I started off at this point.
no. I've never been a big guy on that. I think the one time I hit like 275 for squat, but I I don't really love things like that because I don't know. It's just not my thing. I think hitting 225 on bench is great, but I'm not focused on it. I'm just focused on growing. Honestly, no.
Do you ever do any maxing out on any of the stuff? Have you
Uh,
maxed out at all? The one rep max for anything?
no, no. Honestly, no. I, no. I don't.
I feel like that's a hot take.
It.
I feel like you shouldn't be maxing out every workout. I feel like after a little while, you should
I mean,
probably, at least my opinion, I feel like you
you
should like
try.
at least try and see
There's
where you're at.
no negative about it, but I I don't see any positive to it for me because what is that going to do? I also don't want to injure myself for no reason. I don't know. It's just not a personal preference for me. That's all.
As of lately, for me, when I've been training, I actually got a personal trainer. My friend Gabe, who I've been lifting with forever at this point since I got to college, he decided that he was going to be a personal trainer. And I applied to be a person who had a personal trainer. And I put him down. I thought this was actually kind of a funny story. I might as well bring it up and tell you now, anyways. On the application that we had to do, I I put down that I was the most active person essentially. I go to the gym like 6 to 7 days a week anyways. I put that down and they asked goals that you had,
Yeah.
and a goal that I put down was hit a 350-yard drive.
Okay.
That was what I that was my actual thing on the application. And then they asked if you wanted like any personal trainer specifically. And I put down my friend Gabe and I said in parentheses, if I don't get Gabe, I'm not going to do this. And they gave me Gabe, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
I did not think that they would do that given the fact that I kind of BS that application a little bit,
Yeah.
which is funny. I mean, I was very honest, but I feel like that's not the type of person who would be having a personal trainer. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's through the school. I didn't have to pay for anything. Something that he's been working on me with for my workouts is doing eccentric stuff, which is basically bringing the weight down like slow for everything. And I've noticed that I am absolutely dead at all the end of my workouts. Like I was hitting shoulders today, and it was one of those things I was just like, wow, trying that is crazy. And I looked into it, and apparently it's supposed to be super beneficial for you, giving yourself more time under tension for the muscles. Have you ever tried that? Would you want to say anything about that potentially?
No, I've never done that. I'll be honest. I like just normal. I'm a very simple workout kind of guy. Just normal movements for me. Yeah, I haven't tried that yet, but I might.
Yeah, I've noticed that certain things like training more explosively have just impacted my training just overall. I've been able to do muscle ups for a while now, but I started training explosive pull ups where I almost was trying to pull myself up off of the bar. Think about how you do a clap push up almost. You know, how you push
Yeah.
off the ground and like you clap your hands,
Yeah.
try and push like that. I was basically doing clap pull ups per se, like not clapping, but pulling myself way up like that,
Mhm.
almost having the bar be to my chest essentially. I was doing that for like a couple weeks. And the other day I just decided I'm going to try and do a muscle up again. Like, who cares? And I just did like the smoothest muscle up I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And I actually was repping some of that out today. So I feel like it's worth trying training a little more explosively and slower.
Yeah.
But I've seen some results on that, but I'm also only been doing it for like a few weeks. So we'll see how it goes.
That's good.
Whenever I talked about the topic of progressive overload a lot, we've been on that topic and we've been around like the gym. How have you been able to implement the tactic of progressive overload in your day-to-day life as well, besides just working out?
Just trying to get better than the day before. Just that simple. Doesn't have to be a lot. Just something small. But if you're better than the day before, then I think that's good.
Awesome. Do you have any examples of that? For instance, for me, I meditate like all the time, every single day. Sometimes I'll try and just meditate like one more minute or something like that, or stay in like a little bit longer. Is there anything that you'd say you can do on like a daily basis, or you've done maybe not on a daily basis, but just in general?
Um, Making my bed when I get out in the morning. That's the biggest thing for me. That's what I've been trying to do consistently, and then eating better. I had a big problem with Chick-fil-A in college, so now I'm trying to eat. I don't cook, so I just try to find healthier restaurants to eat at. Eating is definitely the biggest thing for me right now.
Why don't you cook?
It just takes too long, and I don't like cleaning, and I tend not to eat all my food when I cook rather than when I go out. Groceries you pay for all at once. When I eat out, I mean, I think about, oh, I just paid for this. I have to eat it right now. Groceries can sit. Chick-fil-A, or I go to Fresh Kitchen. Food's already made for you. All you gotta do is eat it. Not like you have to clean it, cut it, cook it, then put leftovers in the fridge. It's just a simpler way, I think, for me.
I mean, I'm used to eating out, obviously, at college all the time.
Yeah.
Not in a bad way or anything, but I'm used to just getting the food and not having to cook it, even though I live in a house where I can cook stuff. I think part of that for me is not having a car to go out and actually go and get any sort of other food and bring back. But I mean, I could talk to somebody and go to the grocery store if I really wanted to.
Yeah.
I find that that's an interesting perspective that I've heard from people, is just the first thing that you said was, I mean, not really wanting to clean. It's interesting. I mean, I guess if you still achieve what you want to from that, if anything, it would save you more time. And you said efficiency is a big thing for you. Is there anything else here that you want to say?
I think you all should follow this man's podcast and follow his Instagram, social media pages, whatever he decides to put out. Yeah, I think that's all I got to say.
And there you have it, folks. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Exceptional Undergrads. If you found inspiration in today's episode, remember, your journey to excellence starts with one action. Head over to our website, exceptionalundergrads.com, for more resources and to stay connected with our community of exceptional achievers. As we bid farewell to our exceptional guest, Austin Vohra, and the entire Exceptional Undergrads community, I leave you with these key takeaways from my time with Austin. Positivity stems from perspective. If you do something consistently and work hard at it, you can do it. Don't take life too seriously. There are only a few things in life that matter. Austin's definition of failure is not trying and not learning from your mistakes. If you want to be successful, look at what everyone else is doing and don't do it. Lastly, efficiency is the name of the game for training. I feel like overall, the main thing I take away from my time with Austin is that it is very important to make it a priority daily to become better than you were yesterday. Thank you all so much for listening. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, share, and leave a review. And as always, be exceptional.